We all kept hearing that Amazon wanted their own version of HBO's Game of Thrones. Well, what has the end result been? Honestly, I didn't realize the extent of just how horrifying this was going to be. And there were people in my comments section on the video for my third review video that tried to tell me. Episode 4 dumps us into the middle of the siege of Gialden. He has breached the gates. Is it just me, or does Logain look like the illegitimate love child of Tim Curry? You know, who was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show? The crown. What does the crown mean to the Dragon Reborn? He'd much rather have defined Cordoban leather on this Buick Cutlass Supreme. Was that culturally insensitive? Oh well. They forget that the Dragon Reborn is just as likely to save the world as to destroy it. We are at only 3 minutes and 27 seconds, and here I am wishing for some gratuitous Aes Sedai nudity just so I don't have to listen to this asinine dialogue which falls out like blocky chunks of nonsense. And then we get Voldemort, using the tainted male version of the One Power. Jesus Christ Superstar, I'm not gonna kill ya, I'm gonna heal ya because I am the good Dragon Reborn moment. And that annoying voice, which I thought was just the fact that Logain was batshit crazy, suddenly takes on this outline of what is presumably Sahadin, and I have no idea what the hell is going on. The taint is voiced by a woman because reasons. Now, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments section below, but I am pretty damn sure this is all pulled out of Rafe Judkins' creative bunghole, and we're just going to go along with this because the story needs it. Now that we're through with narrative block 1, we move into narrative block 2. We see Nynaeve. I called her Nineveh in my head when I was reading the books. Suck it up, Buttercup. That's what I'm going to keep calling her. I'm not entirely sure why Nineve's braid looks like she should be a dancer at Jabba the Hutt's palace in Return of the Jedi, but that braid, I think it's gained a little weight. Where is she? I don't know. All I know is it is diverse as hell, and boy, you have to appreciate that representation. We're at the Red Aja's campsite. Look, those are the Red Aja from It is fascinating that in the Wheel of Time world, people would be wearing certain type of clothes that indicate a real world, say, cultural and religious tone. I'm sure episode 4 is going to score very high on those ESG corporate wokeness scorecards. Who is Karine Nagashi? Well, in Robert Jordan's books, she was tall, very beautiful, with short dark hair lightly touched with white and nearly all black eyes. She was incredibly powerful and was actually more powerful than Moiraine and even Siwan Sanche. In fact, she was one of the strongest channelers in the tower, period. Of course, being a green, she really liked men. In fact, she had not one but 2 warders. I'm not going to give away what happens to her in the books, but it is indeed tragic. Now, why am I bringing all that up? Well, if we look at the scene with Moiraine being tended to in the tent, that is who Rafe Judkins wants us to believe is Karine Nagashi. Interesting way of subverting a book reader's expectations of a very tall green. And we are fully off the rails with Logain in a cave, in a cage. What is it with this show in caves, in perfectly spaced holes in the roof of the cave to provide dramatic lighting? Seriously. Take a look at the woman on the left side of the screen in green. According to Amazon, I hate this show. According to Amazon, that is Alana Mosvani. Now, those of you who read the books know that she travels to Two Rivers later in the series, along with another Aes Sedai by the name of Varen Mathwin. Why should you care? Well, because there's a whole flipping half a book about what happens there. What really happens with Perrin. What he does. Now the show, if it ever gets there, I don't know how the hell you're going to reconcile what we're seeing on screen, and here is why. That woman on screen, Alana Mosvani, is not a full Aes Sedai. She is an accepted. As a matter of fact, she's been an accepted for a whole hell of a long time. I think it's like almost 20 years. One thing that would never happen with an accepted was having her anywhere near anyone who is claiming to be the Dragon Reborn or a false dragon, let alone sitting there like she's part of some women's studies coven, keeping an eye on Logain. This thing has jumped the shark in such a way that I don't know how we can call it anything to do with Wheel of Time other than stealing names. And while we're on it, let's talk about Liandrin. None of what we're seeing on screen happened in the books this way. Liandrin, God, I'm just gonna say, the ways, walking the ways. Oh my God, the dialogue in this scene is such bullshit, and it is so clunky. It is literally like someone is 17 years old sitting there writing in their Mead spiral-bound notebook, writing tense, strong, female characters in a fantasy setting. The same as any man can channel. Worse even. It's exposition dump and little snack-sized pieces of relevant plot from the book series that are getting half-assed jumbled up into this freaking disaster that's on screen. I've regained enough strength. Let me share the burden. We have people talking at the audience. Fake Liandrin going, "That's Moraine for you." Selfless to a fault. None of this bullshit with Moiraine trying to shield Logain from the true source with that spider web glad sandwich bag channeling thing. Never happened. Every single one of the characters in that room is not where they are supposed to be or doing what they should be. Now there is one key element to the Aes Sedai that I have not brought up in any of the videos that I have done. However, we have reached a point in episode 4 where it is time to talk about the physical appearance of those women who can channel. The specifics of this occur throughout the book series. This is not my interpretation. The Aes Sedai are said to appear ageless. That their faces are hard to put an age to because they're smooth, but yet their eyes are very dark and wise. Those who knew what to look for could spot an Aes Sedai in a crowd just from that youthful, ageless face. While the casting choices made by Amazon will check a lot of boxes, one thing they fail to do is, again, to actually honor Robert Jordan's intent and very specific physical appearances of women who are powerful magic practitioners. Now that is just one of the many problems that many viewers have with this air quotes adaptation. So those changes, those great deviations from source material, not just in the Wheel of Time, but from so many other intellectual properties, becomes a shield to defend mediocrity, bad character development, and a whole lot of inserted agenda. It's hard having a conversation with someone who won't say anything. Rafe Judkins threw away Robert Jordan's story so that he could put the equivalent of styrofoam packing peanuts to fill your screen. Oh look, we're back to Moiraine, who looks like she could really use a laxative. But no, it is the strain of trying to contain Logain. And there it is at 18 minutes and 10 seconds. Moiraine saying, and I quote, "There have been false dragons before, men and women both." That just broke the essential conflict of the entire 15-book series. I don't know how the hell you can possibly come back from that. Honestly, take Wheel of Time off the show's title after that. Mercifully, we move on. And surprisingly, a lot of the clothes that the traveling people wear look like you could get them from a truck stop outside of El Paso. Speaking of which, the traveling people are a matriarchy. Women run the show there. Quick question. Where's Rayan? Remember Rayan? He's the Madai, the Seeker, the leader of the flippin' Tinkers that in the books, Elias introduces Perrin and Egwene to. Which leads you to ask, who is Elias? In Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, which this show is for some reason named for, Elias, let's just say he has a really strong affinity with wolves. He is an absolute nomad and wanderer, which makes him incredibly awkward when he introduces Perrin and Egwene to the Tinkers, aka the traveling people. No, you didn't miss that in the last episode. That was completely omitted. Everything that is said by that woman who is supposedly leading the traveling people was said by Rayan, the patriarch of the traveling people. But when we're talking about intersectional entertainment, men cannot be in positions of power anymore. Not unless they're stupid and or evil. It is also worth pointing out that the decision to age up these characters, in particular Egwene, is going to impact what was in the original story as far as her being a young girl who was infatuated with a young man in the camp. How is this going to be spun? Undoubtedly in some CW young adult relationship trauma nonsense. We end up back with not Tom, Rand, Matrim. What the hell is that dream that Rand is having about Perrin beating bodies with a sledgehammer? Why? They definitely accelerated the effects of the found in the trash dagger that Matrim had. And we have grim, dark murder of children arbitrarily inserted into the show. Blah, 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 made up. We've got Leandrin talking to Karine again. And need I say, this is not from Robert Jordan? I guess somebody somewhere decided that there needs to be some action occurring, some combat, because after all, Amazon did want Game of Thrones. We now know why Logain is in a cage, just to set up what will be some type of battle, because his armies are coming. Why? I can't tell you. This is not from the books. Which gives us a scene with arrows trapped in the sky by Alana, who again has no business being anywhere near this entire shit show. All I can think of is what a hackneyed way to rip off a scene from the first Matrix movie. This decision allows Logain to have a long conversation exposition dump where, again, little snack-sized pieces of information from the original story are just shoved in. All of this dialogue, I don't know how you come back from this complete and utter fabrication. Truly, how can you call this the Wheel of Time, taking this many jumps and liberties with the story and characters? We get an unnecessary but action-filled girl power moment, and it would appear they killed Karine. Oh, God. Logain's, air quotes, armies, which appear to be like 12 dudes, come running through the smoke machine forest, and this all looks really cheap. Trying to make this look like Saving Private Ryan and the beach landing on D-Day only makes things worse. Of course, it's a woman who's going to save the day, that being the accepted Alana. Oh God, I hate this show. Blah, 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 action, nonsense, crap, Logain. They keep having this conflict in the cave. I don't know what show I'm watching. I don't know why Wheel of Time is on the title card. Moiraine appears to yet again be impaled on a broken axe handle. Why? I don't know. And Karine, who shouldn't be there, is definitely dead. Also, shattered axes cause a lot of spurting arterial blood, because I guess that's what the kids like these days. But don't you worry, girl power is gonna save the day. It is so hard to give a shit about anything that's happening right now. Through the forces of female diversity and representation, they managed to contain Logain. And Nidavellir Nidavellir apparently heals Lance's spurting carotid artery. Okay, so the bait and switch I talked about in episode 3, it's fully activated. Be under no illusions that they're going to get out of wherever the hell this is headed and vaguely resemble the actual story that Robert Jordan put into so many books. To say that I found this disjointed, fragmented, juvenile, not entertaining, and a complete bastardization of a story that many people know and love would be an understatement. If we're going to pick one word for episode 4, if you're a book reader, it would be abomination. This show was very clearly not made for those of us who love the original books. What did you think about episode 4? Tell me in the comments below. I plan on making another viewer comment video where I'm also going to share some of the horrible and crazy things people have called me and said to me just because I didn't like this show. And as ever, this is Salty Texas Sea. I am Corey DB. Please give me a thumbs up if you've liked what you've seen and heard. Subscribe. You have an awesome day.